quintet.
All right.
And he was also playing with the La Solos brass.
Did you get to know him?
Wayne Cochran? No, because people like that, they're so beyond what you're doing that I had nothing in common. We're going to say, hi, I'm Rudy Sarzo, and you're Jacko. That would have been the conversation.
Did he still have the frets in his bass when you were seeing him in the early days?
He was doing playing the fretless, and he was playing with Wayne Cochran and
right.
the Newport, and the whole thing, a circle, and then he joins
Weather Report,
yeah. And he becomes Jacko as we know him today. But what I did learn how to navigate that, it was to stay away from what the others excel at.
Okay.
Jacko excelled at being Jacko. Jazz. Well, I'm not going to go in that direction.
Okay.
I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to go into this other safer path, which is basically playing, blues bass rooted rock and roll.
Yeah.
We really didn't have the equivalent of Jacko doing that. Jacko went jazz and beyond jazz,
Yeah.
So that's how, and I still do that. As a career choice, I still follow that path. For personal growth, I go into other territory. But nobody gets to hear me doing it because I'm just doing it for my own personal pleasure of playing music.
See, I've always heard the Jacko thing in your playing, though. I've heard it. It takes somebody to know the work, and I've always heard that in your style. And
well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. It's probably because living in Miami, mm-hmm. you pick up on certain musical roots.
Right.
You can't avoid it. First of all, in order to play in the circuit, and that I'm talking about early 70s circuit,
right.
you had to cater to what the clubs wanted the bands to play.
Right.
A certain playlist, very R&B, mm-hmm. with some Latin thrown in, and all of that dance stuff. So we drank from the same well, but what he did with what he drank was beyond what anybody ever did at that time.
Right. How did you develop your stage personality and presence? Because you get such an amazing presence, but I can't say, wow, he stole that from so and so. You kind of created your own thing. How'd you do that?
Well, I played. We used to do 6 sets every night, 6 nights a week, 6 sets. 45 on, 15 off, and then you go back on. Right. And sometimes you start, by the 4th set, you're playing the first set again because the people that were not there, they're going now on the 4th set. I mean, nobody drinks that long. 4 hours later, that guy, that guy that was there on the first set, he's passed out.
Right.
So you got a whole new crowd. So you do the same set, and after a while playing the same songs over and over again, I had to really entertain myself. It was like to challenge myself. Okay, how can I play this song on one string, or play it upside down, or play the bass behind my back, just to keep myself awake.
Mm-hmm.
Just awake, man. That was it, and that's how I started doing that stuff. Just for my own personal challenge.
Well, you influenced a whole generation of bass players doing it, man, and me being one of them. And
well, later on became showboating. Remember, back in the day when I started doing that in the 70s, there are very few bands that actually perform. A lot of the bands just stood there, and I'm talking about the whole band,
right?
With very few exceptions. And then I think, especially coming from LA, what really broke the mold was Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's showtime. You had David Lee Roth going bananas all over the place. You had, and Eddie Van Halen doing everything, and Michael and Alex. It became a show band,
right?
And that became like, okay, if you guys are from LA, you're playing on the Strip, Van Halen, that's your measuring yardstick right there,
okay.
And so not just me, but there were a lot of guys that I'm talking about the generation right before you got there. The cusp from the late 70s to the early 80s, and that's including, as far as bass players goes, Nicky Sixx, Juan
Right.
Crucier,
Right.
Dana Strum.
Sure.
Yeah, all those guys. Yeah, we were under not just the pressure, but the influence of what Van Halen was actually accomplishing in a major arena. But then again, at that time, playing at the Starwood or playing at the Whiskey, that was considered an extension of playing at the Forum.
Okay.
That was kind of like your last step before you got to playing the arena was playing at the Starwood.
Right.
That's where you got signed. Or playing at the Whiskey. That's where you got signed.
Were you seeing Mammoth and Van Halen at backyard parties and all that stuff? Did you see him at any of those things?
I ran into Eddie one time when I first got to L.A. He probably thought I was Punky Meadows, and he started talking to me on the stairway leading to the bathroom. You know, that little landing at the Rainbow?
Uh-huh.
You go up to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I'm going, who's this guy? I just gotten into town.
Yeah.
But he's telling me about what he wanted to do, you know, with the first record, because I got into LA. First I came in 75, then 76, and I moved. I became, you know, a resident of LA in 77.
Okay.
For good, because I was coming in and out.
Awesome.
But the Rainbow was the place to go to.
Yeah.
So I was running into people. Then I would leave town, get some more money, come back. You know, because it was hard. It was very hard to survive. You know.
Sure.
And I ran into Eddie and I had that conversation, and he focused. He was clear about the vision of what the band was going to accomplish. There was no accidents.
Right.
It happened It was scripted, basically. He said, "We're going to do this," and it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and later on, I used to hang out with Dave. When you hang out with Dave, especially back then, you were just an ear.
Right. Because the man can talk.
He can talk. And he's funny as hell.
he's
So
funny
you don't want to interrupt him. You want him to be Dave. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
He's just off stage, on stage, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
You know, and he speaks Spanish.
Right.
You know, so he said he learned Spanish from he used to work at a warehouse somewhere in Pasadena, and all the Mexicans that worked there. So he picked up Spanish. Very smart, very bright man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he gets enough credit for that, because he always gets the credit of being the wild and crazy Devil Lee Roth. Very smart.
First Van Halen album came out in 78, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Had you heard any demos of it before it came out? Or
No.
It's just you heard it the first time on the radio? And
I just heard,
wow.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So tell me your trajectory. So your first big band was Quiet Riot, the Paul Shortino and Carlos version. I was in that version for about 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what happened?
No, what did happen?
Okay.
You got the Whitesnake gig, right?
Yeah, yes, sort of, kind of.
Okay.
Yes, that. But this is there's actually a hand of God.
Cool.
Event that happened in
Do
my
tell.
life. in my life. So this is what happened. I had just joined Whitesnake, and I started touring with them, and especially at that time, this is 87, and I actually left Quiet Riot in 85. So there were certain emotional ties that I had to the band, because I just left 2 years before, and when I got the call from Frankie, actually, that things had changed in the band, and that if I wanted to return, basically they have Paul Shortino singing, and I thought, you know what, of all the things that I've done, this is home to me. Not only was I in the mental health version of Quiet Riot, founding member, but also in the Randy Rhoads version of the band. So it was one of those decisions from the heart. All right. So I started to rehearse with the band in the afternoon, and in the evenings I would rehearse with Whitesnake.
Right.
So I was doing double shift, and I even told David, listen, I'm going to go back to Quiet Riot after we do this specific leg of the tour, like 6 weeks or something like that. And he says, that's fine, because we were just getting started. I wasn't too settled in Whitesnake yet. We hadn't even played a show yet. We were just in rehearsals,
Mm-hmm.
June 1st, 1987, I was on my bicycle. A bicycle, not a motorcycle, just a regular speed bike.
Yeah.
And I was going through Chandler, crossing Coldwater, and on my Walkman, I'm listening to the song "Somebody to Love,"
Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah. And I'm going through a green light, and I see this Carmen Ghia car. The lady that's driving it, she's not looking at my bike lane. She's looking at the other lanes to see if there were cars coming. And as soon as I go right through the intersection, she makes a left turn into my ankle.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I fly through the air, and I'm saying to myself, I'm yelling, I can't believe this is happening to me. I land on my head, and I black out.
Oh, Jesus.
And then I come to again as I'm falling, and I slam my back on the asphalt, and I black out again. So I'm laying on the ground. I come to, I'm laying on the ground, open my eyes, and I'm going, okay, I don't want to lift my head because, I might be paralyzed or something, right? Okay, so I kind of like slightly lift my head, and I look up to see if my limbs were still attached, and I see blood just gush out of my ankle.
Oh.
And I'm going, okay, this is no good. I'm going to pass out here any moment, because I knew that I was in shock. Right. That's the only reason why I was still thinking,
mm-hmm.
because I was traumatized. And so what happened when you are in a accident like that, all you see is heads hovering over you going, oh my God, are you all right? Are you alive? And I'm going, and all of a sudden I just started saying, please call my wife. Her name is so-and-so, and my phone number is so-and-so. Tell them I am okay. That's all, because I knew I was going to pass out at any moment. And things happen really fast before you know it. And everything is from that point of view, looking up.
Yeah.
Like the tunnel vision. You see heads surrounding you, And before you knew it, there was a paramedics come in, and they put me in a gurney. And they strapped me. And at that point, that's where I saw my wife. Again, you just see the head and their expressions. And my mother-in-law. And I'd say, oh, I'm fine. So they put me in a gurney, and they take me in the ambulance and take me to the nearest hospital. And they check me, put me MRI. Okay, everything else is fine except I have I
broke your ankle.
Broken ankle.
Yeah.
Broken ankle. It didn't go through the ankle. It was right above it. So they put me in a cast.
I remember.
I went back to rehearsal the next day because I was not about to miss the Whitesnake tour.
Yeah.
The band sounded great, and all the guys. There was a lot of chemistry going on. And so I explained what happened. And thank God David said, okay, man, just do your best, And he was very understanding, and I'm really appreciative of that. But I told Frankie, listen, I am committed to this tour. We're going to be going out in a couple of weeks. I can't do double shift. Right. It's impossible. I can barely do one, rehearsal a day with Whitesnake.
Right.
So Frankie understood. He understood. And so they kept rehearsing and without me, of course.